Hello everyone, I'm Yazan Ibrahim, or as some of you might know me, Yazan Abu Ghosh. Today we're going to dive into a fascinating and essential topic, Fraud Examiner Section 4, Fraud Prevention and Deterrence 4.8, Fraud Risk Management, focuses on strategies to manage and minimize fraud risks. Shielding success, mastering fraud risk management. Hey there everyone, and welcome to a powerful exploration of a topic that can make or break any organization's future. Today, we're diving into the world of fraud risk management, a strategic approach to protecting businesses from the hidden threat of deception that costs billions every year. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll uncover what fraud risk really means, why it's a critical piece of broader risk management, and how to build a robust program that prevents, detects, and responds to fraud with precision. So settle in, maybe grab a notebook, and let's journey into fortifying trust and safeguarding resources against unseen dangers. Let's start with the heart of our discussion, understanding risk and where fraud fits into the picture. Think of an organization as a vast ship navigating turbulent seas where risks are the storms and currents that could throw it off course. Risk, as defined by frameworks like COSO's Enterprise Risk Management 2017, is the effect of uncertainty, positive or negative, on achieving the ship's objectives. Fraud risk is one of many threats on this voyage, often underestimated or overlooked by risk professionals. Yet it's a pervasive danger that can sink even the sturdiest vessel if ignored. As management teams sharpen their focus on risk, they have a golden opportunity to weave fraud prevention into their strategies, ensuring they detect, deter, and defeat deception before it strikes. Now, let's explore the foundational guidance that steers fraud risk management. There are several key frameworks that act as navigational charts for organizations. COSO's ERM 2017 integrates risk management with strategy and performance, while their Fraud Risk Management Guide, updated in 2023 with the ACFE, offers specific anti-fraud strategies. Another vital resource is COSO's Internal Control Integrated Framework from 2013, which ties into fraud responsibilities. Then there's ISO 31000-2018, providing global risk management guidelines, and the 2008 guide, Managing the Business Risk of Fraud, from the IIA, AECPA, and ACFE. These resources provide a robust blueprint for embedding fraud prevention into every layer of an organization's operations. Let's break down the essence of risk management itself. According to COSO, enterprise risk management is the culture, capabilities, and practices that organizations use to manage risk while creating and preserving value. ISO 31000 describes it as coordinated activities to direct and control an organization concerning risk. The core tasks are straightforward yet profound: identify, prioritize, treat, and monitor risks that threaten value. It's about balancing the level of risk an organization is willing to accept, its risk appetite, with achieving goals across strategy, operations, reporting, and compliance. What's the current state of risk management? A 2021 study by the ERM Initiative revealed some eye-opening trends. A staggering 83% of organizations faced unexpected operational surprises in the last 5 years. Only 35% have formal ERM programs, while 23% lack any enterprise-wide risk processes, and over half describe themselves as risk-averse. Boards are pushing for more senior involvement, with 68% of organizations noting increased demand for risk oversight. Yet challenges persist. 24% conduct minimal or no assessments for emerging risks, and many lack structured methods for reporting risks to leadership. On the brighter side, 47% now have a chief risk officer or equivalent, up from 42% in 2019, showing a growing commitment to tackling these issues. Let's zoom into the specific frameworks that shape risk management, starting with COSO ERM 2017. This framework ties risk management to strategy and performance through 5 components and 20 principles. First, there's governance and culture, setting the tone with board oversight and a commitment to core values. Then strategy and objective setting integrates risk with planning, defining risk appetite, and evaluating alternatives. Performance involves identifying and prioritizing risks, while review and revision ensures periodic updates for value creation. Finally, information, communication, and reporting leverages technology to share risk insights. It's a holistic approach to keep the organization steady on its course. Next, there's ISO 31000-2018, an international standard focusing on achieving objectives through better threat identification and resource allocation. Its principles emphasize integration into all activities, customization to the organization, and responsiveness to change. The framework includes leadership commitment, integration into processes, design with clear steps, implementation through planning, and continuous evaluation for improvement. It's a dynamic guide for navigating risk in any context. Now, let's turn to why integrating anti-fraud initiatives into risk management is non-negotiable. Organizations face a broad spectrum of risks, natural disasters, economic shifts, competition, but fraud is a universal vulnerability. Denying this weakness only heightens the danger, while acknowledging it paves the way for prevention and detection systems. The business case is stark. Fraud costs organizations about 5% of annual revenue, with little recovery of losses per ACFE findings. Investigations drain resources, whereas proactive prevention cuts costs and boosts financial outcomes. Effective programs send a strong anti-fraud message, enhance reputation, foster goodwill, and ensure compliance. A sound strategy for any business. Fraud risk management isn't a one-and-done task. It's a continuous process. Employee integrity shifts over time as motivations and rationalizations evolve. Regular reviews and mitigation are essential to stay ahead of emerging threats. Frameworks like COSO's FRM 2023 link internal controls with enterprise risk management, outlining 5 key principles we'll explore shortly. Ensuring fraud risk stays on the radar. Let's address a critical area: managing third-party fraud risks. Vendors and customers can pose significant external threats: overbilling, substandard goods, or scams. Many organizations lack adequate controls here, but tailored due diligence is key. Customer due diligence, or know your customer, involves background checks with 3 levels: simplified for low risk, standard for moderate risk with identity verification, and enhanced for high risk, analyzing income sources and transaction patterns. For vendors, questionnaires gather company profiles, and ethics assessments ensure alignment with codes of conduct. Background checks via registries and continuous monitoring with data analytics are vital to mitigate these risks. Who's responsible for fraud risk management? It's a shared duty across all levels. The board of directors sets an anti-fraud tone, aligning strategies with risk appetite. The audit committee oversees assessments and facilitates communication with auditors. Senior management designs programs, conducts assessments, and investigates allegations. Staff uphold policies and report issues, while internal auditors evaluate controls and investigate fraud. Risk and control personnel assess threats, and a dedicated fraud risk management team, led by a chief compliance officer, coordinates efforts. Clear roles are crucial for effectiveness. What are the objectives of a fraud risk management program? First, prevent fraud by proactively identifying risks and addressing them through policies and training. Second, detect fraud quickly to minimize damage. Third, respond to identified fraud by investigating, punishing perpetrators, remediating weaknesses, and restoring trust. It's a comprehensive cycle of defense. Let's dive into the 5 principles of fraud risk management from FRM 2023, each tied to COSO's internal control framework. First, fraud risk governance establishes the program with board and management commitment. It defines roles, documents policies, and uses data analytics for oversight. Second, fraud risk assessment identifies schemes, evaluates likelihood and impact, and addresses residual risks with periodic reassessments. Third, fraud control activities implement preventive and detective controls tailored to specific risks, strengthened by analytics. Fourth, fraud investigation and corrective action sets up whistleblower systems and investigation protocols, ensuring remediation. Fifth, fraud risk management monitoring activities evaluate the program's effectiveness through ongoing assessments, adjusting to changes and communicating deficiencies. How do you develop a fraud risk management program? Start by defining objectives focused on prevention, detection, and response aligned with risk appetite. Define risk appetite, distinguishing broad goals from specific tolerances. Examine past fraud incidents to identify root causes. Assess fraud risks for likelihood and impact. Design components like anti-fraud culture and controls. Implement these with ethical leadership. Communicate expectations, empowering employees to report issues. Ensure compliance with detection systems. Identify and investigate violations with clear processes. Finally, measure, evaluate, and report performance using benchmarks for continuous improvement. What are the core components of such a program? There are 10 essentials: a statement of commitment from leadership, fraud awareness training, affirmation processes for policy adherence, conflict disclosure systems, recurring fraud risk assessments, reporting procedures with whistleblower protection, documented investigation processes, corrective action policies, process evaluation for improvement, and continuous monitoring to adapt to new risks. Finally, let's touch on the power of data analytics in managing fraud risk. It's a game changer, shifting from reactive detection to proactive prevention. FRM 2023 integrates analytics into all 5 principles with techniques like data stratification, risk scoring, trend analysis, and predictive modeling. A 5-phase framework: design, collection, organization, analysis, and remediation guides its use. Analytics aids investigations, monitors compliance, and identifies deficiencies, with ACFE providing sample tests to support implementation. As we wrap up this journey, let's reflect on the strength of fraud risk management. It's not just a safeguard, it's a strategic shield, blending prevention, detection, and response to protect organizations from devastating losses. From COSO's frameworks to data analytics, every tool builds resilience. Thanks for joining me on this exploration. Let's keep the conversation alive. Share your thoughts or questions, and let's continue learning how to shield success from fraud together. Thank you for watching, and as always, continue learning, stay curious, and we'll see you next video.